call this June 5th meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I want to welcome all of you and ask that you stand with us and join us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Summer, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benberry, Mr. Bradford. Here. Mr. Morrison.
Here.
Ms. Shramke.
Here.
Mr. Shadle.
Here.
Mr. Wade.
Here.
Chair Casillas.
Here. Mr. Shadle, I believe you have the minutes motion?
Yes.
Please.
I move that the reading of the minutes for May 15th, 2017 be waived, and the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Wade. Are there any corrections, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Shadle.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Bradford.
Aye.
Mr. Morrison.
Aye.
Ms. Shramke.
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Normally at this time, we would go right into our new business. However, we have a discussion tonight about parking requirements. And Mayor Harless is with us, and she wanted to share a very brief presentation. And so I'd call her up now to do that, please.
You hear me? All right. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me come. I really enjoy standing behind this podium, by the way, instead of being on that side. So thank you for letting me get this experience, if nothing else. And I wanted to say, first of all, thank you for your service, because it's so important that we have volunteers like you all who are willing to serve on these boards and commissions and serve our community, and you guys do such a great job of that. I did want to come because the parking requirements conversation was something I kind of brought up a couple months ago and wanted to give my perspective on it just as you guys are making your decision. I also want to say that I acknowledge your decision-making autonomously, and so that's why I decided to come before you tonight so that I could share my perspective with you regardless if you take it or leave it. But I did want to just make a quick point that when we're talking about enhancing or reviewing our parking requirements as it refers to development projects, my goal and my intention is to ask that we would just come up with the times, right? And so not to try to make anything innovative or creative or anything like that, but just to start to meet the standards that are around us. I did bring this chart with me. I think you might have it in front of you, and just wanted to point out one thing. As with a lot of these things, it's not always a black and white thing, and we're not always behind and always ahead. But I did want to point out a few things, specifically in the quick service restaurant category. I noticed that really is one of the only categories here that we're kind of lagging behind with the standards around us. I think in your staff report, or maybe the staff report from last time, no, it's right here in front of you, sorry. We are comparing other cities around us to what we currently have. And so specifically with the quick service requirement, we're looking at one parking spot per 30 square feet for our city. And the one that's even gets closest to us is Cape Girardeau at 1 per 70. And so I just wanted to encourage you guys to consider maybe the average of all of these, just to bring us up to the current standard. Not that it's necessarily stalling business. I don't think that's necessarily the case. People are not pointing to parking as a reason to not relocate or locate here, but just to be proactive in this case so that we're kind of ahead of the game instead of reacting to any situation that might come up. So that's all I really wanted. Does anyone have any questions about that specifically, or no? Well, thanks for letting me come.
Thank you.
I really
Thank you,
appreciate
dear.
it.
Thank you. We're going to move into our first item of business, which is AAA Stowaway. Ms. Shramke, would you read that, please?
I move that a resolution entitled, "A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Closing of 2 Alleys Bordered by Maggie Street, Irvin Cobb Drive, Locust Drive, and Bridge Street" be adopted.
Second.
Second by Shadle.
This is for a future development for many storage units that'll be developed after the closing of the alleys. Mr. Gardner's here for any further questions.
We've actually got a couple of alleys. As you can see, one runs parallel in between Maggie Street and Locust Street. And then we have one that's running perpendicular with them that comes off of Locust Street. Now, these are alleys that are unimproved, and actually the only improvements that are on them are the individual landowners who are already using this property, specifically mainly the church and the people that are on the east end, the northeasterly end of Urban Cobb Drive. Just about everybody's already using these alleys, so it's not gonna really be a difference of what they're already doing. Now, AAA will be getting their half, but I mean, all these other people will be getting their half as well. AAA just happens to be the leader in getting this done and the one that's paying their foot in the bill. Now, the one that runs perpendicular off of Locust Street, the small section there, they own on both sides, so they'll be getting all of that one.
Are there any questions, comments? Seems pretty straightforward, I think. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Shramky?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Chair Cressees?
Aye.
Can I make one comment? I appreciate the pictures we received with this also, in addition to the plat. I think that helps us understand a little more. Thank you.
Mr. Wade, you have Merck Properties.
Yes, I move that a resolution entitled, "A Resolution Constituting the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Closing of an Alley between 210 to 212 and 22 to Kentucky Avenue" be adopted.
Second.
Second by Shranky.
This is an existing approved alley next to the 1857 Hotel and the Merck property. Mr. Goff would be glad to answer any other further questions.
Yeah, this is an alley adjacent to the 1857 Hotel off Kentucky Avenue between 3rd Street and Marion Way. We're proposing to close the alley and create 3 tracks that will be conveyed to the 3 adjacent property owners. The ultimate intent of this is to expand the 1857 Hotel to have a kind of an outdoor patio area. And we're also creating a 15-foot drainage easement for storm drain that runs down the alley.
Now, do I understand, once you close the alley, it'll be divided equally between the 2 properties?
Right, the property line is right down the middle of the alley to be conveyed to the adjacent owners.
So does the hotel have any kind of agreement with Mert as far as using their half of the alley?
No, we will come back with another plat that will abolish those lines once those agreements have been made between the 3 property owners. And then that will then convey the property to the hotel.
Can you tell me, are there intentions to leave the brick in that alley or
Yes.
not?
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Thanks.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Shramky?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Chair Cressees?
Aye. Mr. Bradford, you have the City of Paducah public hearing on the readoption of elements of the comprehensive plan.
I move that this commission readopt the elements of the goals and objectives of the City of Paducah Comprehensive Plan as written. I further move that this commission find as fact that the original research for the comprehensive plan is still valid pursuant to KRS 100.197.
Second.
Second by Shadle and Morrison.
Every 5 years by Kentucky state law, we have to review and readopt the comprehensive plan elements. In this case, we're asking the Planning Commission to adopt everything as is, as we are planning on revising and redoing a brand-new comprehensive plan next fiscal year. We do have some money set aside for that, so we're hoping to get started with that next fiscal year. and this will keep us legal.
Right, keep us
until-
legal through the end of
until
this.
we're-
The end of
get to
this
that
month was our
point.
deadline to
Right.
have that done.
I have a question. What's your anticipated timeframe for the adoption, or for the suggestion of the corrections or changes?
That I do not know. Once we have a director in place in planning, that'll give us a better idea of a timeframe. It'll really be up to them to kind of set that deadline, but it will be before, obviously, the end of 5 years. There's a couple elements that we have to do: community, facilities, population, transportation, that sort of thing. And then other things can come along as well. So depending on what this body finds and suggestions we get from the citizens, that could add elements to the plan, which may take a little longer.
And do we then not act on it until the whole thing is finalized, or can it be acted on in segments?
It can be each element by each element, and that's provided for in the KRS. However, this commission would like to do it.
And in fact, you can actually continuously revise,
Yes.
through the entire 5 years, not just getting to the end and working on the plans.
Right.
Questions, comments? This is a public hearing, and if anyone would like to speak, we'd be happy to hear you. Sure.
My name is Janet Snyder Haynes.
Pull your microphone up. There you go.
My name is Janet Snyder Haynes, and I live in Stein Spring Estates. And I have a question. You say that the plan can be revised periodically. Has it been revised in the last 3 or 4 years?
It was 5 years ago, June of 2012. Was the
Since
last
it was
time
revised?
that was when the goals and objectives was readopted, was in June of 2012.
Okay. My main purpose for being here tonight is to learn more about the comprehensive plan. It's been several years since I've even thought about it. We had an issue on New Hope Road with some rezoning that we were not happy with, and the comprehensive plan was brought up at that time. I guess my concern is, no, I don't guess, I know my concern is the fact that a lot of our builders, and my father was a builder, so I love builders, but it seems that the first thing we do is go in and we clear cut everything. It just happened on New Hope Road because somebody wants to sell the property. I'm all for business, I'm all for the property owner selling his property, but I'm also in favor of residential and commercial working together. My parents lived many, many years in Birmingham in River Chase, which is a planned community. If you're not familiar with River Chase, it's a wonderful opportunity to look at some place where commercial and residential blend together. And they've been doing it since 1970. My parents owned 3 houses in that development. So when they retired to Florida, they looked for another area and went to West Chase in Tampa, which is the same type of thing. It also blends well, but they also take care of their environment. And that's something that bothers me about our area. So many of us have seen this happen. The first thing that happens, they go in and cut down every tree, whether they're gonna have to build on that particular place where that tree is or not. So I'm just concerned that we just don't let this continue, that we have a plan and we revise that plan and we consider the residential people as well as the commercial and work together in that way. I don't have the answers, but I know that I speak for many in our area that are concerned about it. So thank you for your time, and
That's in the county.
Thank you for your comment.
Yes.
It's a good comment.
That's-
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
Madam Chairman, I think the area that she's talking about is in the county, it's not in the city.
that's correct.
It is. So we don't really have anything to
But
do
we-
with that, unfortunately.
I'm not complaining about that, but it's getting pretty doggone close to the city.
Well, and we've
You're right.
had some in the city, I agree. There was one on Park Avenue that,
It's not, the county is not the only one at fault.
No. And I think your comment was a good one. Certainly, we would consider that, definitely. Sure. Come up, please, and give us your name.
I'm Janice Coward. I live on Pecan Drive. Now, I remember when I came the first time to this meeting, and I was telling you how we had lived there so long, and it was such a wonderful little, nice community. And then somebody said, I think it was Dan, said, remember the comprehensive plan. And I thought, what is that? But boy, did I find out by a friend of mine going online and looking, oh, somebody came and advised to maybe do some business or some R4 or changes to our street. So I'm just here to, again, ask that you keep our neighborhood residential. Now, we still want it to be residential. And so we had a friend to make some signs that said, keep Pecan Drive R1. And it was kind of strange that they were all stolen. We don't know what happened. So the woman that made them, we had about 8 or 9 on our street, and they all disappeared. So she brought me one more and she put it on my property. And I guess it was there maybe 6 days, and it was gone. And I'm thinking, what is this? Is this a war or what? I don't know. But I just wanted to express that we've been there 44 years. I mean, I know, like Jan said, business goes ahead, but we're asking that you please remember us as our residential community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We appreciate that. Anyone else?
Mr. Summer, are these goals online where folks can
Yes.
review these?
On the City of Paducah website.
I would encourage all our good citizens to review the goals. There are many that address these very things. Of course, the application of those things is important as well, but they do address that. We will be looking at it
And
over the
please,
next year.
please know that the comprehensive plan is like an overall view of goals and objectives for the city that is used to make decisions such as zoning, and is used to make decisions for when we prepare ordinances that go to the city commission. So it's not, the comprehensive plan is not, it's like a visionary document. And so that's why we feel like it's so important to have the input from people in our community. So we appreciate you being here, and this is just the beginning. This won't be the end. Please trust me on that, okay? Are there any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Shramky?
aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Chairperson is.
Aye. Thank you. Mr. Shader, you have Michael Hayden and the Urban Renewal Community Development Agency?
Yes, I do. I move that this commission I move that this commission receive and file the application of Michael Hayden and the Urban Renewal Community Development Agency for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 1406, 1412, and 1414 Harrison Street. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Shramky.
This is property that's owned by the Urban Renewal Development Agency and Michael Hayden. There is an existing lot located there in the middle that we're abolishing and dividing equally, placing half of it with the remaining urban renewal tract located at 1406, and the west half of the lot being abolished to the Michael Hayden property located at 1414.
Harrison Street. The existing structure that's on that lot being divided, the residence and the frame shed in the rear are both to be raised.
We do have a potential new property owner looking at the larger vacant lot for a new home
Good.
in Fountain Avenue at this time.
Great.
Are there any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Before you do that, Madam Chairman, being a member of the Urban Renewal Community, I will
Same.
not be voting on this.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Shramky?
Aye.
Chair Presidius?
Aye. Mr. Wade, you have trifecta capital, please.
I do. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Trifecta Capital LLC for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 3049 and 3055 Irving Cobb Drive and 3038 Parker Street. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
This is to divide the property up into 3 tracts. The larger tract in the back on Parker will be sold. There's an existing structure that will be sold off on a new tract, and the tract off our Irving Cobb Drive will be used for future commercial development. Mr. Turner can answer any questions you all may have.
There will also be a 24-foot wide ingress egress easement for track B and C.
And can you basically tell us where that will be on, it'll be on Highway 60, I'm sure.
The ingress egress, yeah, it's on there. It's off one of the entrances there, off US Highway 60 there near the existing.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry.
So you already have an entrance off Highway 60 there?
Yes, there is. They will be revising it. We'll be developing on track B.
Okay.
Now, Tract A, will that have ingress and egress?
It
from
will have
Parker?
access off Parker Street.
That's what I thought. Okay. Any more questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Shramky?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Chair Presidius?
Aye. The next item of business that was originally on our plan, the Falconet Real Estate Holdings, has been pulled. So our next item of business is Mr. Morrison, the PEM Enterprises.
Yes, ma'am. I move that this commission receive and file the application of PEM Enterprises, Inc. and Charles Hughes for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 517 Broadway. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Shadle.
This is an existing condominium regime, and the client insists on him move some walls around and is gonna amend the existing documents.
Jed, I'm assuming he owns all of these units, or what would be these units, so. or do you
He
have
does
other-
not own one of them, and that owner has signed off on
He's,
that.
okay.
Yes.
That's the only one to worry about.
Correct. The others are under lease that are occupied.
Beautiful.
Do you have questions for the engineer? This property has been in development for quite some time now, so I'm glad to see it finally.
Yes, I think he's gonna start putting some work into it and
Yeah.
getting those on the market.
Yeah, wonderful. Questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Ms. Shramky?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Chair Casillas?
Aye. If there's no other business to come before us tonight, we stand adjourned.